If you're new to Smart Modified Racing, we mentioned a lot that has gone into this race and how it will unfold. One of which is the fact that we will have the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break at lap 30. These drivers also have one fresh sticker tire in their arsenal that they will lean on to perhaps find victory and glory, if possible, here today at Florence. Pace car is going to make its way down pit road. Elliott Sumi, the honorary starter, getting set to unleash 23 Smart Modifieds to kick off the 2022 season, powered by Pace-O-Matic. We're green. And on the outside, it's Brandon Ward with the advantage as they come out of 2. Jimmy Wallace fighting back on the bottom. Ward checks up big time in 3. He'll concede the lead. Dean Ward follows through on the bottom, and the first lap of the year goes to Jimmy Wallace. Wallace out in front. Ward running in second. Behind him, Dennis Holdren, the Virginia native, in third. Brandon Ward has rolled his way back in a fourth spot, while Brian Lofton leads a side-by-side battle with Matt. Those cars make their way down the front straightaway, double wide, about 3 rows deep. Got one car smoking towards the back of the pack, keeps it rolling. We stay green. Hirschman now jumps up to that outside lane. A new car moving on the bottom. That's Walnut Cove's Jason Myers trying to move up a few spots. Myers was trying to work his way to the inside as they came through turns 1 and 2. And we're starting to see the trend develop in this race. It's very similar to what we saw here the last 2 seasons. A lot of these drivers and competitors trying to nurse their Hoosier tires to save what may be their best shot towards the end. And there you see one of the youngsters who captured a lot of attention on the national scale, moving his way up through the field already. In the Tommy Baldwin Racing 7MY, that's Caleb Petty, who is starting to move forward as well. He's currently running behind that of your 2021 champion, Burt Myers. They run 8th and 9th, respectively. Again, the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break is going to come at lap 30 as we continue to watch this fight materialize. Behind Hirschman, working the bottom side is that of Jason Myers. Outside, newcomer to the Hillbilly Motorsports organization, Florida native Jeremy Gerster. When Gerster got out of the car from practice earlier, he was grinning from ear to ear. Said this is by far one of his best shots in his racing career, and he's entirely grateful for the opportunity. Now he wants to make the most of it, and he's trying to follow Jason Myers through to the inside. That fight continues to rage on while Jimmy Wallace still holds down a healthy advantage. In fact, way up the road is that of Wallace for now. Drivers coming down here to complete lap number 9 with Wallace, Ward, and Holdren still your top 3. This is the best battle we have right now. Your Pace-O-Matic pole sitter in Bobby Meismer, kind of trapped behind Matt Hirschman, who is most definitely trying to save some of his equipment for later in this race. Hirschman still willing to allow some of these cars to work their way up to and around him for position as he fades towards the bottom portion of the top 10. One of the cars that is on the move is that of Jamie Tomato, who is next in line. Followed by last year's winner and Caleb Petty. Hirschman nearly bounced off the right rear tire of Meismer that time on the approach to turn 1, but lives to fight another day. Meismer on the inside. Hirschman way up high as these cars start to skate their way around the exit of turn 4. It's been a very warm day here at the 4/10 of a mile Timmonsville, South Carolina Oval. That is at a Florence Motor Speedway. Temperature was up in the high 70s, which has made this track incredibly slick. We oftentimes will reference the fact this track kind of mirrors the characteristics that the now defunct Myrtle Beach Speedway once held, as well as the Darlington Raceway. That's about 20 minutes away from this short track. And that gritty nature has the team scratching their heads. We even saw drivers in qualifying electing to try to conserve their tires throughout the duration of their 2-lap attempt to lay down a flyer. And while this fight has been going on here, we continue to watch Tomeno side by side with Meismer and Hirschman. We've had a change up front for the lead. As the lead pack has approached some lap traffic, Jimmy Wallace has pedaled his way back to third, while Dean Ward is under fire for Dennis Holdren for the race lead. Down the front straightaway. Holdren inside of Ward through 1 and 2. Now on the backstretch, cars 0, 7, and 12. There they are, Holdren to the lead. And there is a bunch of lap traffic in front of these leaders as we inch closer to the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break. Lap number 30 is when we're going to see the orange and white checkered flag fly. And Holdren is putting himself perhaps lay claim to those honors. Holdren puts another lap on the board. And the group of lap cars that is up in front of him is intense. First car he's going to encounter is that of Craig Young, who is holding the high side. Brian Weber and Greg Butcher next in line. And all these cars that are in front of Holdren, if they've been trying to conserve their equipment, they're going to have to get going because they do not want to fall a lap down here before the end of this stage. Holdren now working to the inside of Brian Weber as all the spotters of the spotter stand start to warn these drivers that the leader is coming. The traffic has not allowed Dean Ward to close up more than an 0.8 of a second advantage, while Holdren is trying to do everything he can to close up and perhaps seal 3 championship points to start the season, as well as $300 cash from Jerry Hunt Supercenter. Oh, Holdren that time almost got pinched down by the number 6 of Butcher as we watch Dean Ward now try to navigate his way through the lap traffic. Ward being very careful with his approach to try to get through one of the young cars. Ward gets by cleanly on Craig Young. While Ward nurses his way down the backstretch, there's your leader Holdren getting around Greg Butcher in the 6. Next up is car 02. That would be Troy Young as Butcher has a big moment that time off 4. Saves the race car, but is going to lose ground to potentially try to stay the first car 1 lap down. These drivers quickly approaching the end of this first 30-lap stint. Holdren now coming up on the back of the Pennsylvania native, the number 95. That John Marinko-owned car of Cody Kohler trying desperately not to fall a lap down, and Tommy Neal is also in the clutches of the leaders. Dean Ward trying to get back up there. He wants the $300 at the stage break and win. Holdren squeezes to the outside of Tommy Neal. Dean Ward followed suit. The field works their way down the back straightaway. Laps are clicking off till we see that yellow flag. The next group of cars a little bit further down the racetrack from that of your race leader in Holdren. May not get there in terms of trying to catch the next group of lead lap traffic that is kind of caboosed by that of Gary Young Jr. Jonathan Brown is in that gaggle, as well as a few other cars here. And there is a slew of lap traffic between the top 2 and a third-place runner in Jeremy Gersner. Try to get tabs back on our leaders here as they work their way off turn number 4. Laps are running out here in the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage. Holdren comes across the line. 1 lap to go. This will be the first opportunity to gain some points here, not only by leading the lap that he did so far in this race, but as Ward tries to mount a charge off of turn number 4, the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage win first of the year goes to Dennis Holdren. Holdren gets the stage victory over that of Dean Ward. As the top 10 come across the line here, the caution flag is going to fly, with Holdren being the first stage winner of 2022. Dean Ward comes home in second, picking up $200 cash from our friends at Jerry Hunt Supercenter. And Jeremy Gerstner, the lap leader from 2021, in his debut drive here this season for the Hillbilly Motorsports team, comes home in third. At the time of the caution, Matt Hirschman fourth, Jason Myers fifth, Jamie Tomeno sixth, Caleb Heddy seventh, pole sitter Bobby Meismer in eighth, reigning champion Burt Myers ninth, and the driver who led the field to the green flag, Jimmy Wallace, rounds out your top 10. This is going to be the first opportunity for these teams to come down the pit lane and perhaps entertain the idea of bolting on that fresh sticker tire. Now, if you weren't with us for the races back in 2021, putting on that sticker tire, which I think for most teams here today, they've elected to grab a fresh right rear. But nevertheless, that's not the only adjustment that these teams and drivers can do. We've seen situations where they swap left side tires, they swap some rear tires. The trickery and ingenuity of some of these modified race teams, it goes a long way as being able to survive on this 4/10 of a mile surface that is just so rough on rubber. So the pits have yet to open, but the first opportunity to lay claim to the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage win is that of Dennis Holdren. We mentioned earlier in our broadcast here, for those of you watching on Flow Racing, if you want to interact with us, use the hashtag LowCountry99. In fact, Jacob Jarrell is a diehard Dennis Holdren fan, and I can promise you, Jacob, who is watching along, is certainly ecstatic with what they see here so far. While the officials continue to work their way through the running order, we are going to see Cody Kohler come down the pit lane. Greg Butcher, Jeremy Gerstner, one of the top runners, also elected to come down, while Kohler is going to come into his pit area for service. Looks like they're working on the left side of the number 95 of Cody Kohler's car. That seems to be the trend throughout most of the pit area. Also in is the 6 of Greg Butcher, the 4 of Jason Myers. Matter of fact, they've jacked up the left side of Butcher's car and the 6 who's further up the pit lane. You see some of the cars that elected to come down the pit lane for service. In there was the 22 of Jonathan Brown, the 6 of Greg Butcher, the number 79 of Jeremy Gerstner. Also, they were working on the left side of Brandon Ward's number 2, and the 95 of Cody Kohler remains on the pit lane as well. Johnny K has just left the pit area, and they're still working diligently on Jason Myers' car. While Holdren and company have elected to stay out for the time being, Myers now rolls away. The driver who was 5th in 2021 points came loaded for bear in 2022, and he'll have to wait for the field to go by. Remember, caution laps do not count for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. We mentioned talking about a couple of our viewers who are checking in and watching out. How about Nick Petruzzi out in San Carlos, California? When this race is over, Nick is going to have a lot of sunshine left to enjoy the rest of his afternoon. Nick, we're happy you're spending it with us here on Flow Racing for the start of the Smart Modified season. Also saw Aaron Creed, long-time motorsports and media journalist, in the grandstands here as well. The Postman, Steve Post, checking out some short track action here on what's a rare off weekend for the Postman, and he's loving what he's seeing here so far as well. Also, we have Ken in LaPel, Indiana, tuning in for some open wheel action. Again, if you want to check in with us here on Flow Racing, just use the hashtag LowCountry99 as we kick off the start of the 2022 season. We mentioned this being the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break. This is the second year in a row that Jerry Hunt Supercenter has come on board with us here on the Smart Modified Tour. If you're looking for a premier North Carolina dealer with a huge selection of used and certified vehicles, then you have to check out Jerry Hunt Supercenter. Visit them online at jerryhuntsupercenter.com or stop by their Greensboro dealership located in Lexington, North Carolina. At Jerry Hunt Supercenter, we buy more, we sell more, you save more. We mentioned briefly when we got a chance to look at the car. The storyline here last year in the second race of the Smart Modified season was young gun Caleb Petty, a name who turned many heads in a legend car in X ranks. He got an opportunity to drive a tour-type modified for Tommy Baldwin Racing as the Citrus Safe Choose Cone goes out on the racetrack. Caleb has come back in full force, but that team has already had a lot of success already in 2022. Let's not forget Jimmy Blewett capturing the World Series of Asphalt Tour-Type Modified Championship for that organization. And a special hello goes out to Jimmy, who's also watching us here on Flow Racing this afternoon. Speaking of Hetty, by virtue of that choose cone, it looks as though he is going to restart outside of row number 2. Getting set to restart this race at the conclusion of our Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break. Although a handful of cars came down the pit lane, did not see any of the competitors bolt on that one fresh tire they have in their arsenal. Dennis Holdren took off early along with Dean Ward to try to grab an opportunity to capture a stage win. They've done just that. Row 2 is going to be made up of Matt Hirschman and last year's winner Caleb Petty and the aforementioned Tommy Baldwin Racing number 7 NY. Jamie the Jet Tomeno inside row 3 for the upcoming restart. And quick time setter Bobby Meismer Jr. is going to line up in 6th. There you see how they situated the field when they got to the Citrus Safe Choose Cone, and the field will go around for at least one more lap before we hit the Pace-O-Matic restart zone. With comers and goers essentially being the theme of this race, this would perhaps be a good time to bring up the fact that there is a new contingency award available for these drivers as well. We mentioned Pace-O-Matic adorning their name on so many things. Our chief starter, J.B. Cole, is going to give the one-to-go signal to the field. They also have offered up a hard charger award. That will be $200 to the driver who advances the most positions during the course of the race. That's a new opportunity and offer for our friends at Pace-O-Matic. And they've stepped up in a big way in many ways, as they will with that hard charge award. And we'll probably have to crunch some numbers later on today to figure out who that may be with the way this race is going to ebb and flow. So the lights are out atop the pace car. Holdren and Ward, as they came to the checkers to end the stage, will line up in row number 1. Behind them, Matt Hirschman, Caleb Hetty, row 2, Tomeno and Meismer, row 3. They come into the Pace-O-Matic restart zone. Holdren and Ward bring us back down for the restart. Ward trying to fight on the outside as they come out of turn number 2. Holdren will cement the lead for now. Hirschman up to 3rd as he enters your frame. Hetty trying to slot in behind him. And we're side by side for 5th spot off turn 4. Holdren leads the first lap off the restart, side by side between Tomeno and Meismer off of 2. Well, the whole field kind of accordions back together off turn 4. Tomeno on the bottom. Has the whole family with him here today, trying to turn the wrenches and get that car up towards the front of the field. and he's trying to pass the fastest car in qualifying from earlier today. The 1990 Whelen Modified Tour champions hits the spot away from Meesmer as they go to 1, but Meesmer fights back. Meesmer in that Kevin Hughes Motorsports entry, trying to give that car a great run to start off the season, as it is their plan to try to chase the Smart Modified Championship this year, but Tomano's got that spot for now. Behind them, you see Burt Myers and Kevin Orlando going wheel to wheel off the corner. Myers on the bottom in car number 1, your 10-time Bowman Gray Stadium champion. Collected his second Smart Modified Championship 1 year ago, and that was despite not winning a race. Meanwhile, trouble turn 4. Jason Myers has spun off the 4th corner, and the caution flag will fly for the second time today. Now the field is going to have to jam on the binders here so that way Myers could get that car righted. Just as we were talking about Brother Bert's success in 2021, Brother Jason goes for a slide off turn 4 and slows the field for the second time today. Jason's going to be able to get that car righted and stay on the lead lap for the time being, but that will slow the pace of the field right now with 34 laps complete. While Jason Myers brings that car to the attention of his pit crew here for the second time, you see them looking underneath the front end of that car. Similar adjustments that we saw being made on the first stop for the stage break. After a rough mechanical ending to his north-south shootout, Myers said he was ready for 2022 to roll around because he wanted to try to turn the luck around, and so far, the Walnut Cove native has not been able to be presented with such an opportunity, at least at this point in this race. While Myers and crew continue to attest to their car, the field continues to circulate behind the pace vehicle as we await to see if anybody will take up the offer of coming to pit road, or is it in fact too early? Still working on Myers' car. We'll see if any of the front runners elect to come down. Remember, the top 2 did not stop at all. In fact, most of the front runners did not come down. And at this point, we have yet to see anybody bolt on that one sticker tire they have in their arsenal, as Holdren is going to be the first car with the opportunity to duck left. Holdren elects to bypass the pit entry here, as the green flag is in fact waving in turns 3 and 4 to indicate that the pit road is open, but nobody wants to come down just yet. And the good news is we see Jimmy Wallace, who led the field down for green, elect to come down. He is one of the only drivers besides that of Jason Myers to come to the attention of his pit crew. And it looks as though an adjustment on the right rear is what's going to take place for Wallace. No tire changes for now. The good news about the lack of urgency that is taking place in the pit area is that we're going to ratchet things up as these laps start to click off at the Low Country 99 here at Florence. Obviously, everybody trying to preserve the opportunity to put on that fresh sticker tire until very late in this race, as Brian Weber is going to elect to come down to the attention of his team as well. It's going to be the second opportunity we get to see the Citrus Safe Choose Cone in action. Chris Honeycutt has been the man responsible for laying that out in front of the field when the one-to-go signal is given, so drivers can elect the inside or outside lane for the upcoming restart. Second year in a row, we've got to work with Citrus Safe in such a capacity, and if you're not familiar with their product, Citrus Safe is actually a non-toxic and biodegradable grow cleaner. It was founded back in 1997 under a different name, but since 2003, they've rebranded under the organization and logo of Citrus Safe. If it's race season, it's certainly grilling season, and you can find Citrus Safe products in all of your home improvement stores, including that of Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, and more. That's Citrus Safe, proud sponsor of the Smart Modified Choose Cone, as it is now on the front straightaway for the field to approach to elect where they want to line up for this next restart. Field is doubled up, and Chris Honeycutt has retrieved that Citrus Safe Choose cone from the front straightaway. And our chief starter, J.B. Cole, for the Racing Electronics flag stand, is getting set to give the field potentially the one-to-go signal. In fact, we'll send him around one more time. It's been an absolutely beautiful day here at the Florence Motor Speedway. One of the most unique elements of this racetrack, and you can see it right now through turns 1 and 2, is the fact that there is not a lot of outside retaining wall. The front straightaway is the only place where you could find that here on this 4/10 of a mile oval. And we bring that up. Not sure how many may have been able to catch the interview that was done with Al Unser Jr. this past weekend on the Dale Jr. download. He talked about the fact that his father would not allow him to race at any venue that had outside retaining walls. It's another reason why the Florence Motor Speedway is unique, forgiving, and also a great place to come and watch a race, especially for those of you who are catching it with us live on Flow Racing. This time, our chief starter will offer up the one-to-go signal. And the front two remain unchanged from the conclusion of our 30-lap Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break. We got a few laps in following that stage break before Jason Myers went for a slide off turn 4. And we have the field re-racked and ready to roll to try to attack the conclusion of this race. Holdren and Dean Ward on the front row. Matt Hirschman, who has a couple of checkered flags under his belt already this season, lining up on the inside of row 2 in that PD Motorsports number 60. Outside, Caleb Petty trying to go back-to-back here at Florence over the last 2 seasons in Smart Modified competition. And Jamie Tomeno rounds out your top 5. Into the Pace-O-Matic restart zone they come. And we're back underway. And that time from the outside, Dean Ward got a great launch on the leader, Holdren, to hold the top spot in 3. Holdren settles in the second spot, while Hetty tries to hang tough on the outside of Hirschman for 3rd. Double wide about 2 rows deep as Holdren slips off turn 2. Hirschman not quite sure which lane he wants to try to pick to see if he can get around Holdren, who gets sideways. Holdren with a phenomenal save, but is going to lose the second spot to Hetty, who rockets around the outside. Hirschman now elects to shift up to the top to try to get by Holdren. While Tomeno and Miesmer continue their fight just behind them as Miesmer enters your frame. Dean Ward, Caleb Hetty, Matt Hirschman side by side in the fight for 4th. Miesmer up top. Tomeno looking 3 wide down low. Thinks better of it. And up front, Caleb Hetty to the point. Caleb Hetty got up to and past Dean Ward for the top spot and race lead. And he's trying to open up a little bit of breathing room on him. Hetty out in front as we start to inch closer to the halfway point of this race. And the reason why we mention that is there is a contingency offer up for grabs for the leader at lap 50. A new halfway bonus incentive by Bankers Life in the form of $200. And I think Hetty is well aware that the pay window for that is starting to open up. 10 laps shy from that Bankers Life halfway bonus with Hetty, Ward, Hirschman, your top 3. Hirschman having a peek here on Dean Ward as they come down to the bottom of the racetrack. We mentioned Hirschman's success so far in 2022. Won the season opener of the 2022 NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour that you were able to see right here on Flow Racing, and he's all over the back of Dean Ward down the front stretch. Along with it came a win in the Richie Evans Memorial 100 lapper down at New Smyrna. Also won the John Blewett III Memorial 76 lapper. And trying to capture his 3rd Smart Modified win in a row in competition is that of Hirschman, who's up to 2nd. They've shuffled out Dean Ward, who has fallen back a little bit. Tomeno to 3rd. We mentioned some of the ebb and flow that we're seeing. It's starting to show itself right now as Ward is starting to fall down the running order. Top three in your picture. Hetty, Hirschman, Tomeno. With a bit of a gap back to Meismer, who's fought his way back up to fourth. Starting to see Hirschman wash up the racetrack just a little bit that time as he came to the corner. As we are 5 laps shy from the halfway point. And for the lead, in turn number 3, Matt Hirschman knows the halfway money's on the line. He makes the move on Caleb Hetty. Hirschman up to P1 with Hetty running at second. Tomeno now trying to get by. Tomeno now floats that car off to the bottom. Gets up to the left rear tire of Hetty's number 7. And skates his way off the corner. Side by side, battling continues from one of the youngest drivers in the field. Outside the 7 is Caleb Hetty. Inside, your 1990 Whelen Modified Tour champion and Jamie Tomeno as they continue to battle on the front stretch. And they're both starting to inch up closer to Matt Hirschman, who's trying to control the pace of this race. Coming around here to complete lap number 48. And the halfway money lies ahead. Tomeno with a bit of a bobble there on the inside of 1 and 2. Through 3 and 4 and off the final corner, Matt Hirschman's going to come to the line here, $200 richer. Hirschman, the leader at the Bankers Life halfway point. And now the leaders are starting to approach some lap traffic. That's Brian Weber's car that they're coming up to the bottom. Hirschman down low, gets by Weber. Hetty trying to stay with him. Tomeno also in the mix, just behind him in third, while a newcomer has worked his way up in a fourth in the tune of Burt Myers. Since the second caution of the race, back on lap number 34, when Jason Myers went for a loop, this race has been clean and green, but the question is, will it stay that way? We drop back here to pick up the progression of Bobby Labonte. He is starting to work his way towards the front of the pack. Labonte now inside of Meismer for what would be 5th, and Meismer slams the door. Mike Smith, who also goes by the nickname Andretti, has put this team back together. Labonte gets held up there a little bit by traffic as we got a fight for the lead in turn 1. Caleb Hetty down low, Matt Hirschman up top. Hirschman trying to run the high side in 1 and 2. Is able to retain the lead for now. Hetty trying to diamond up that corner just a little bit there. Loses some ground that time to Hirschman as they came by the start-finish line. And since having that look for the lead, Hirschman has been able to maintain about a 2-car length advantage as the laps continue to click off. Starting to enter that point in the race where we see who is able to reserve their right rear tires around this tough, tricky, and gritty 4/10 of a mile oval. Hetty trying to mount a charge back. Here's Burt Myers all over the rear nerf bar. Jamie Tomeno, who protects low down the front straightaway. This is for 3rd. Myers, your reigning Sport Modified champion, has been very open about the fact that he wants to find victory lane definitely more than once in 2022 after capturing the title by being very consistent but not going to victory lane. He's been so close so many times. He's won Smart Modified races before, but not in the pursuit of his title last season. In fact, a year ago at the end of the stage break, Myers came to the line running in the top 3, but was only able to salvage a 5th place finish at the checkered flag. It was enough to parlay him to a title, but not the victory he was looking for. And Myers now in a great side-by-side battle and clears Tomeno in 3 to move up to 3rd. And look who has entered the picture Your 2000 Cup Series champion, Bobby Labonte, is charging. Labonte using that high side to get a big run on Jamie Tomeno as they go down the backstretch. This is the race for fourth. 39 laps to go. Hirschman ahead of Hetty, while Myers looks down low to try to take second spot, with Labonte working high for fourth. Absolutely one of the most beautiful facets of this venue is what we're seeing right here. Drivers who were nowhere near the front of the pack working their way forward as Hirschman gets trapped in behind Dean Ward. That's going to cost Hirschman a lead. Myers now has to pedal it to try to get around Greg Butcher's car. Hetty gets by. Labonte trying to get by. And Myers squeezes through the middle. Hirschman back to the point. Hetty second. This the race for third with Bobby Labonte up top. All of these cars look as though they are running on ice down the main straightaway. And it's amazing in a race that has been green for about 30 laps this time by how close the front four remain. Myers and Hetty still wheel to wheel down the front stretch to turn one. More lap traffic ahead. Myers takes the spot away off two. So it's Matt Hirschman, the leader. Burt Myers second. Defending race winner Caleb Hetty in third, with Bobby Labonte stalking these top three in fourth. "33 laps from the checkers. Hirschman now able to get room on the bottom around Brian Weber as they come off the corner. Myers still running there in second spot. And you see a little bit of smoke trailing off of Weber's right rear. That's been a bit of a constant here so far today. Officials have been checking that, and we got a spin in turn three. Oh boy. Weber was able to squeeze through on the outside, as it is the youngster out of Pennsylvania, Cody Kohler, who has gone around. Kohler in the John Markovic own number 95 out of Shakespeare, Pennsylvania. Mahoning Valley Rookie of the Year in Tour Type Modified Competition in 2021 has gone for a spin in turn number three to slow the field for the third time today. And while we see that car yet to right itself, you also see the red flag waving there in turns 3 and 4, indicating that the pits are still closed. This may be the most busiest pit lane we've seen in quite some time. So third caution is out after a spin by Cody Kohler in turn number 3. First yellow flag we saw today was lap 30 for the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break. 4 laps later, Jason Myers went for a spin off turn 4 to slow the field for the second time, and now we are inching closer to the finish line of this race, and pit road is about to be a busy place. You can tell just by the attitude of the crew members. They are ready to go for these live action pit stops. And I believe we are probably going to see a lot of new right rear tires being bolted on these 600 horsepower vehicles. Green flag is waving in turn number 3 to indicate that the pits are open. Matt Hirschman, Burt Myers, and more are going to lead down what's about to be a crowded house on the pit lane. So far, not a single car has elected to stay out. Exception is going to be that of Brian Weber, Brandon Ward, and a couple others. Pit stops underway. Hirschman and Hetty, your top two, both going for a fresh right rear tire. And that appears to be the trend all the way up the pit lane. Jonathan Brown in the SS Racing Pace-O-Matic sponsor, number 22, also getting a fresh right rear tire. Brian Lofton, Gary Young Jr., first car off the jack and away is that of Hirschman, while the rest of the field works through their stops. Labonte not only getting a sticker right rear, also getting an adjustment and a swap of the left side tires is what you're seeing there. It'll cost him some track position. Should have enough time to make it back up here as he rolls by. You see more than just a tire change on Greg Butcher's cars. They're trying to get that tire situated. Jason Myers in for more adjustments on the left side. Kevin Orlando will be the next car to roll off on what is a very crowded pit lane here on our third caution of the race. Well, work continues on Dennis Holdren's car. It's been an absolutely gorgeous day here at the Florence Motor Speedway, and we still have some great weather here as this race continues to wind down. And for all of our fans here, not sure if or when or how many more cautions we may see in this race, happy to announce that the concession stands are back, fully reloaded and ready to serve you for all of your refreshment needs. Plenty of delicious and hot food items, ice-cold beverages, and more. And again, that is for all of our fans who are here in attendance with us at Florence Motor Speedway here today. If you want to grab a bite to eat or something to drink, now is probably the time, because we're about to turn up the heat to see who will win the first race of the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, the Low Country 99 here at the Florence Motor Speedway. Just a short while ago, Matt Hirschman added some more cash to the pocket of his race winnings and success so far in 2022 by leading at lap 50. That's a new incentive offered up by our friends at Bankers Life. Not only do they offer up that $200 in halfway leader money, they also are the presenting sponsor for our Smarty Trophy that we're going to be handing out just a short while from now. Remember, it's never too early to start planning your future, and it's never too late to assure that you and your family are prepared for whatever life may bring. Thankfully, Bankers Life has agents who are eager to get to know you personally, listen to your concerns and priorities, and fully understand what you and your family need. To find an agent that is best suited for your needs, visit their website at bankerslife.com. Insurance solutions, retirement planning, and everything in between. That's Bankers Life, bankerslife.com. Citrus Safe Juice Cone back on the main straightaway, and the few cars that have elected to stay out are going to elect the high side. Brandon Ward and Johnny K have just opened the door for Matt Hirschman and company to come jug it through on the bottom for this upcoming restart. Bobby Meismer and his team have elected to line him up behind that of Hirschman and Hetty on the inside, while Burt Myers is going to be the first car with fresh tires outside of row 3. Jamie Tomeno, who has had a spectacular run here today, will line up on the inside of row 4, while Bobby Labonte, who remember 1 year ago came up about a few laps short of Caleb Hetty, openly and lightheartedly admitted in victory lane he thought he waited too long to press the issue and try to charge up towards the front. We'll see if it's a lesson learned for Labonte here today, as that car has been stout and it's been shining at the right time. Behind them, Kevin Orlando inside of row number 5 for this restart. Outside, Brian Lofton, one of our Championship 3, driving the Shady Gray Racing number 15. Take you through your top 10. And don't look now, but Jonathan Brown, 2-time winner last season in that SS Racing number 22 for Sadler and Stanley. trying to work his way forward after taking it easy even in qualifying. Let's see if it pays off. 33 laps to settle it for the first race in a Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic here at Florence. Hirschman and Ward bring us down for the restart. And with that fresh Hoosier rubber, Matt Hirschman rockets to the lead and Caleb Petty is following. Meismer trying to come through on the bottom as well, while the field stacks up off turn 4. Meismer trying to take third away as Ward and Johnny K are kind of trapped up outside. Car 2 and car 48, with Myers lurking to the inside of Johnny K. Ward with a big slide off turn 4. Going to lose a spot to Burt Myers down the front stretch. Oh, trouble. Got a car on the wall. Off the inside wall, and Young Jr. goes for a slide as one car falls off the banking in the first corner. One car bounced off the inside wall, came up in front of traffic, and that is Greg Butcher's number 6 rolling out of the grass at the exit of turn 1. Gary Young Jr. and the Ideal Comfort and PSR Products number 45. Not sure if he was the first car to bounce off the inside wall and come up in front of traffic, but nevertheless, there was a lot of damage to that number 45 car. Gary Young Jr., a former Pace-O-Matic pole sitter in 2021. Unfortunately, one of the first vehicles to be involved in a significant incident on the season. And there is some pretty heavy damage to the right front of Gary Young Jr.'s number 45. The Florence Motor Speedway track crew on it already, as Young already has the helmet off, window net down. He knows his race is over. After trying to put himself in the right place at the right time, he'll get pushed back to the pit area. We'll try to have a chance to see what happened to Gary Young Jr. to put us under what would be the 4th caution of the race. And here's a look at it. Down the main straightaway they come. For those of you watching on Flow Racing, it looked as though Brian Lofton got checked up. Not sure who the car was behind them. And as everybody accordion back together, Young was about the 3rd car in line that got kicked out in front of traffic. One more look at it here. I believe that's Kevin Orlando in the white 00. They're going to enter your frame here down this portion of the front stretch. Lofton and Orlando get together entering turn 1. And it was Gerstner who could not slow down in time, hit the back of Gary Young Jr., sent him off into Greg Butcher. Butcher mows the grass in turn 1, and Gerstner's able to drive away. One more look from the Buzzy Racing replay, and that's a name that you'll be hearing on the Smart Modified Tour. More so, just a chain reaction crash. As we talked earlier, one of the positive elements of this racetrack is that Greg Butcher did not have a concrete retaining wall to propel up into and off of. In turn 1, he's able to drive his car back to the pit lane. 4th caution of the race as the Butcher team looks on to see how much damage may have been sustained on the left front of that number 6 car that's prepared by Jason Myers and his crew. And the pits are in fact open. However, everybody has pretty much made their beds for the most part. The 2 and the 48 of Brandon Ward and Johnny K did not come down this time, so makes me wonder if they are in fact trying to wait until later in this race, or if they may have put on that sticker tire already. Still showing about 33 laps to go. And it's the Low Country number 99, the first race of 12 in the 2022 Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. And one of the cool announcements that we have for everybody here in the grandstands, or for those of you watching on Flow Racing, we have a new, improved, and really informational website that we rolled out just prior to the start of the season. If you want to learn more about the history of this series that dates back to 1988, see where we may be racing next. Immediately, it's going to be March 19th at Southern National Motorsports Park. But if you want to see the full schedule, all of our sponsors, supporters, and learn more about your Smart Modified stars, all you have to do is visit smartmodtour.com. And again, all of our races we broadcast live across the Flow Racing platform. While the work continues on the Greg Butcher Trucking number 6 entry, we actually see the helmet coming off of Greg Butcher himself, who was behind the wheel of that car. It looks as though they may be thinking about calling it quits for the night. We mentioned about the uniqueness of this racetrack. This racetrack opened back in 1982. And over the last couple of years, it's taken on a bit of a tone and an attitude of a track that meant so much to so many. Steve Zacharias and his team, former manager of Myrtle Beach Speedway. And after the track's closing, they took their talents and abilities to put together a state-of-the-art facility here to the Florence Motor Speedway after taking the reins over from Charlie Powell. The plan was for Powell to be a bit of a mentor and leader to Zacharias and his team, but unfortunately, we unexpectedly lost Charlie Powell after Zacharias and company took over the venue, and Steve and his team have pretty much had to start from the ground up. They've done an amazing job in building and preparing a relationship with not only NASCAR to be a NASCAR sanctioned facility, but also the Darlington Raceway that is just a stone's throw away from here. And we've seen a few races already on the floor racing platform, including the icebreaker that took place about 1 month ago. We mentioned the unique characteristics of this racetrack in terms of the outside retaining wall necessarily not being existent, but it's the pavement itself. If you had a chance to catch some of our content that was across our flow racing platform earlier, it seemed as though that every driver that Rob Blount had a chance to talk to earlier mentioned that the surface and tire conservation is truly the key to any form of success in any type of vehicle to get the job done here at Florence. It's a characteristic that not many racetracks have that much anymore, and it's what makes veteran experience and prowess so important in trying to find victory lane. Just don't look at the result sheet from last year when that youngster Caleb Petty got it done. He may have been a bit of a fluke. He's trying to prove that is not the case here. Well, the hard-working track crew here at the Florence Motor Speedway finishes up the cleanup here. We mentioned Caleb Petty and that win 1 year ago. That was one of the best storylines of all of 2020 with the Smart Modified Tour. The youngster showed up at Caraway for the season opener, absolutely destroyed his car in a practice crash. You would think that it would deflate the morality and intensity of a young driver who's been given this opportunity as they come up to the CitraSafe Choose Cone here, but not at all. Petty not only rebounded, he came back to set the quick time in qualifying here in just his second opportunity in a Tour-type modified, and then held off Bobby Labonte for the victory. We talk about how you have to have experience in conserving tires and making sure that you have something underneath you all the way to the end. This is a kid who only had one race under his belt, a brutal hit at Caraway, had to rebuild the front clip of that car, and he had all the help and support around him in order to find victory lane. And he's trying to do it for the second year in a row. He's going to line up for this restart inside of row 2, behind that of Matt Hirschman and Bobby Meismer Jr., who will make up the front row. Matt Hirschman, who has already laid claim to a couple of trophies this season, inside of the Pace-O-Matic pole winner, and Bobby Meismer Jr., who's come loaded for bear in the Kevin Hughes Motorsports number 14. Caleb Petty for Tommy Baldwin Racing inside of row 2 for this restart with the reigning champion Burt Myers as hungry as ever to find victory lane. Going to line up outside of row 2 and 4th. Brandon Ward, Johnny K, two of the cars that did not stop on the last caution. Going to pretty much cement row number 3. And the field behind them, including that of Jamie Tomeno, Brian Lofton, Bobby Labonte, and more, will have to patiently work their way back up towards the front if they want a shot at it. Into the Pace-O-Matic restart zone. Matt Hirschman, Bobby Meismer Jr. bring us back down for the restart. Meismer trying to mount a charge for the lead off of 2. Still has a wheel to the outside of Hirschman, who powers his way into 3. Hirschman will cement the top spot while the top 4 break away. We mentioned Johnny K and Brandon Ward making up that third row. They pretty much stacked up the field behind them as Brian Lofton tries to break free and set sail on that front 4. Lofton down to the bottom, 3 wide behind them off the 4th corner, still 3 wide. Kevin Orlando wisely backed out of it on the front stretch here, and he's still trapped in the middle with Labonte outside, Gerster inside. Oh, Gerster sends it around and tags Labonte. Labonte goes for the spin. Gerster is the car that is sitting off of the banking there in turn 3 after he tried to send it up the inside of Labonte, and chaos ensued. Kevin Orlando was the other car in that mix, as Gerstner, who's got a lot of grass all over the right front of that car, and the left front is down. Gerstner will limp that car back to the pit area. That car will now turn to the attention of the Hillbilly Motorsports team, who made the decision to tag Jeremy to drive this car only a few weeks ago. Gerstner, who has been fielding his own GMR Racing, number 55, out of Wesley Chapel, Florida, was absolutely elated with the opportunity to step behind the wheel of this car that has been a force for many years. In fact, former driver James Savaldi, who elected to step aside from the cockpit in 2022, got a couple of stage wins, some strong finishes, and then some. And Gerstner now finds himself on the rough end of this incident that happened heading off the back straightaway and into turn number 3. Let's take a look at it. Orlando in the middle. Labonte up top. Labonte tries to dart low on Brandon Ward. Gerstner had the same plan of attack. He bounces off the inside wall, up into Labonte, and nearly out of the ballpark. See, Brandon Ward, remember, he did not stop earlier, so he's a little bit off tilt with the leaders in their tire strategy, and it looked like Labonte and Gerstner both had the same thought and plan of attack. I think Gerstner was trying to pin Labonte behind Ward, and they both went for the same piece of real estate at the same time. And Orlando, who lifted big time, doing everything right here, trying to get out of the way, yields to the traffic in front of him and around him. And here's Gerstner trying to send it down on the inside and climbing over the left rear tire of Labonte. You saw the hit there on the left front, which is what flattened the tire for Gerstner's number 79. And Labonte very fortunate to spin, albeit in front of the second half of this pack, and not get collected by a couple more cars. And a great job by our camera crew here and our entire team with Flow Racing, who will be with us all season long as Labonte continues on with not too much damage that Mike Smith owned, the Cookout and Coca-Cola number 25. Citrus-Safe Juice Cone back out in front of the field, while the drivers will elect to see where they're going to line up for this upcoming lap. And what these drivers are all racing for is that Smarty Trophy. It is one of the most unique trophies in all of motorsports, and it was provided to us, of course, by our friends at Jostens. Jostens, who is sponsoring and supporting a Lap Leader Award in 2022, also the resource where we provide our trophies. They're the most trusted partner at celebrating moments that matter, with their mission resting on 3 simple words: capture, celebrate, and inspire. And it's this thought process that has led the Smart Modified Tour to develop one of the most unique trophies in all of motorsports from the same people who bring you many championship trophies and rings for NASCAR, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and more. They helped us develop this trophy that truly embodies the characteristics of all modified legends from both north to south. To learn more, visit Jostens.com. That's Jostens, the provider of the Smart Modified Smarty Trophy and proud sponsor of the Lap Leader Award in 2022. And that trophy will be presented in Pace-O-Matic Victory Lane by our friends at Bankers Life in about 30 laps time. Getting set for the restart. Front row remains unchanged. Matt Hirschman and Bobby Meismer Jr. Caleb Petty, Burt Myers, row 3. Tomeno and Lofton, row 4. 30 laps to settle it. Boy, Meismer did not get going on the outside that time. Rebounds nicely through 1 and 2, but Caleb Petty gets a big run off the second corner. Meismer fighting back up top as they tighten the battle up off of turn 4. Hetty to P2. Miesmer still fighting back on the outside of the racetrack off turn 2. Ran out of room there a little bit at the exit of the corner. Heady Cement second. Further back, Jamie Tomeno trying to charge his way up further forward. After he was running in the top 5 throughout most of this race, battling alongside of Jonathan Brown. Brian Lofton's had a quiet climb up to the top 5 here. He's trying to follow in the tire tracks of Burt Myers to move further up the running order. That time, Lofton and Brown electing to use the top side of 1 and 2. Now Jonathan Brown darts low. Miesmer with a big slide there that time out of 4. That was for third spot, and that's going to back up Burt Myers and company to this fight that's been raging. Miesmer perhaps starting to lose a little bit of the handle that time on his car as he comes off of turn 4. Burt Myers looking low. This is for third. Your reigning champion side by side with a quick time setter, and he'll make the pass out of 2, and Jonathan Brown is closing as well. Got a car nearly off the pace on the back straightaway. Johnny K, we keep it rolling. Miesmer still checking up on the front stretch as the handle starts to fade. Brown to the inside with Brian Lofton trying to follow, and how about Jason Myers? Last time we looked up, Myers had that car backwards off of turn 4. Myers trying to get himself up into the top 5. Got a spin, turn 4. Johnny K has gone around and a crash in turn 2 as well. Johnny K has looped it in the 4th corner, and for the second time today in turns 1 and 2, we also saw the number 95 of Cody Kohler go for a slide. There you see Kohler's car. Looked as though perhaps the right rear tire may have went down on Johnny K's car. Kohler has yet to roll. While we were keeping tabs on that hot and intense fight up at the top 5, looked up at the outside of the scoring tower here and noticed Johnny K going for a spin after he got off the banking on the back straightaway. May have flattened that right rear tire after dipping that car off the pavement exiting turn number 2. And Cody Kohler and the John Markovic going number 95 is going to have to get a push back before he can refire his car and rejoin the pack. So yet another caution. This race carrying a bit of a different trend and outlook than what we saw in 2021. But there are some similar names up towards the front of the field. Matt Hirschman did not run in this race a year ago. They elected to come down for the season opener. And let's talk a little bit about Hirschman's smart modified record. How about 2 for 2 in 2021? Came out for the opening round at Caraway last season. Was able to be in the right place at the right time after there was a lot of beating and banging and battling for the lead amongst not only he, Burt Myers, and Bobby Labonte and more. Hirschman came out on top there. And then for our midseason rendezvous at Dominion Raceway, Hirschman flat dominated. Led just about every lap, and in that race became one of only 3 drivers all season long to win the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage and go on and win the race. Meanwhile, Brandon Ward coming down to the attention of his crew. They have saved that right rear tire to the very end, and he is coming on to get a fresh sticker, and he is the only lead lap car in the pits. Check that, joined by Bobby Miesmer as well. Miesmer getting some adjustments after he was sliding about a little bit there in the waning laps of that last run. Ahead of them, you see Brian Weber coming down. He, too, is going to put on his sticker right rear tire at this point in the race. And all the way up towards the front of the pit area is that of Brandon Ward. They just bolted on a right rear tire there as well. It looks as though they may be either making an adjustment or swapping about the left side tires. They were just about to push that car off there, but being held until the rest of the field could work their way by before we re-rack the field and get set for our charge to the finish. We mentioned the fact that our friends at Pace-O-Matic have offered up a hard charger award this season. That goes along with our friends at Carolina Drilling, who still have their Blast to the Front award. Now, Carolina Drilling, who's a name that you see on many of the smart modified cars that compete with us all season long. Carolina Drilling is a well drilling contractor, actually located in Mocksville, North Carolina. They're leader in both drilling and blasting in the region and are proud to return as the sponsor of the Carolina Drilling Blast to the Front Award. And this award is given out to the highest finishing non-Smart Tour winner in the final rundown. Special thanks goes out to Jason Tutterow and all the fine employees at Carolina Drilling for their continued support of modified racing. Field has just worked their way by the Sit for Safe choose cone yet again. 75 laps complete. We're working our way to lap number 99 here in the Low Country 99 at Florence Motor Speedway. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor to be along this ride and ride this wave of momentum that the Smart Modified Tour has been on since it's pretty much a rebirth in 2021. And it continues to build with new partners, new initiatives, and so much more still in store for those who love asphalt modified racing, and we cannot thank you all enough for joining us. Chief starter J.B. Cole offering up the 1 to go signal, and that front four looks a little bit different at this point in the race. Hirschman and Hetty have been pretty much tied at the hip throughout this portion of the program, but we've got a newcomer making his way up towards that front four. Burt Myers and Jonathan Brown going to line up in row 2, while Brian Lofton and Jason Myers take you through your front 3 rows as we come down to the Pace-O-Matic restart zone. We are back underway from Florence. Hirschman again gets a fantastic launch off the inside. Battle is for third. Brown trying to forge ahead from Burt Myers for that third spot. Jason Myers working hard on the top side as well in the 4. Jonathan Brown and that Sadler Stanley Racing number 22. A new opportunity for him in 2022. After he helped Buddy Ellis capture the Owners' Championship last season, looking for more success in his new ride. And Brown was a couple of cars who pretty much went about half throttle in qualifying. We all looked at each other and wondered if something was amiss. It's been all part of the plan, and it's starting to come to fruition here. Brown to P3. Behind them, you've got that of Burt Myers. Jason Myers, your top 5. As things start to settle out throughout the front runners for the most part, as Hirschman and Hetty are separated by about a car length and a half. This is something that Matt Hirschman has done so many times, as we got a spin in turn number 2. Jeremy Gerstner, for the second time today, has gone around backwards in the first and second corner, and it will slow the field yet again. Gerstner rolls that car back here, going to try to see if he can get it righted. Hirschman approaches the scene. They're going to try to give Gerstner an opportunity to get that car back to the pit area here. We touched on the story a little bit earlier, but David and Susan Hill have been long-time owners and operators of very successful modified racing teams. Last year was James Savali, who came oh so close to victory lane on a number of occasions. And when it came time to try to somebody to fill the shoes of Savali, who elected to vacate the seat on his own accord, Gerstner, who by 1 lap in 2021 led the most laps of all smart modified competitors in the points-paying season, and it became an easy choice. It's been a tough day for Gerstner and company, but I don't think any of us have seen Jeremy be so happy for the opportunity he has in hand, and he is certainly going to make the best for it for that Hillbilly Motorsports team, even if it doesn't happen to come today. Looks as though Gerstner is going to come to the attention of his crew as we take a look at some of the front runners right now on your screen. Reigning champion Burt Myers just behind that of Jonathan Brown, who got the edge the last restart and last time by. These are 2 drivers who have gone toe-to-toe in many platforms, whether it be in tour-type modifieds or in their modified racing duties on a weekly program at Bowman Gray Stadium. both trying to catch and pass the defending race winner of this event in Caleb Petty and Matt Hirschman, who perhaps unsurprisingly currently finds himself out front. Couple of cars down on the pit lane to prolong this caution, one of which Kevin Orlando in a 00, and is still working on Jeremy Gersner's car in order to try to get him back out and race ready. As the Citrus Safe Choose Con comes down on the main straightaway and the laps continue to click off here in the Low Country 99, I want to take this opportunity to once again extend a special thank you and show of support for our new title sponsor in Pace-O-Matic. As they hit the line here with Hirschman choosing down low and Caleb Petty up top, it takes a lot of partners and a lot of help in order to put on events and races of this caliber and of this nature. And thanks to Pace-O-Matic and all that they have been able to step up and do this season. And if you look at their business model and their history and all that they're about, it is of absolutely no surprise. They're our title sponsor, the sponsor of our pole award that Bobby Meismer Jr. had earlier today, sponsor of our Restart Zone, Hard Charger Award, Victory Lane, and the official sponsor of our point standings as well. Since 2000, Pace-O-Matic has assembled an incredibly talented team from top to bottom, built on the grounds of integrity, innovation, and compliance. Sounds a lot like motor racing. All of which aligns perfectly with what the Smart Modified Tour has to offer. And as we are one lap away from this restart, we want to thank everybody at Pace-O-Matic for all that they do. To learn more about this company, all their charitable initiatives, and so much more, check them out across social media or visit them on the web at paceomatic.com. Hirschman and Hetty on the front row with Jonathan Brown down to the inside. Burt Myers up top. Jason Myers and Brian Lofton in row number 3 as we get set for the restart. 78 laps complete as they come to the line. 21 to go and we're back underway. Eddie tried all he could to try to hang tough on the outside that time by, but to no avail. Hirschman to the lead. Brown and Myers side by side yet again in the fight for third. Brown looking low. Not able to get back up into that third spot after Myers was able to outduel him one lap after the restart. Single file throughout most of the front 7. Dennis Holdren, who won the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage earlier today, trying to make some noise. And Brandon Ward, who may have the freshest tire of the bunch, trying to work his way back forward before time runs out. Holdren gets knocked sideways. Saves the race car, and Bobby Labonte was able to get through. That was Meismer, who may have gotten to the backside of Holdren. But Meismer and Holdren still going at it a little bit here as they come up off turn 2. Hirschman and Hetty still holding down the fort at the front of the field, separated by about a car length. Burt Myers, Brown, and now Brian Lofton having a peek down low the main straightaway. Lofton in that shady gray racing number 15, part of the championship 3 1 year ago as he and Brown nearly tangled that time through 3 and 4. And here comes Brandon Ward. Brandon Ward, who pit in late to try to save his stuff to the very end. Does he have enough time as there is 15 laps to go? Ward gets another spot, now working on Jonathan Brown for 4th. Brandon Ward and the Randy Renfro and Joey Coulter own number 2 is on the prowl. Fans absolutely loving the charge that Ward is putting on here late in the going. But does he have enough time? Look at him try to rocket his way around the top side of our reigning champion Myers. Ward now tries to set up low. Myers shuts the door on him. Ward got a better launch off the corner. He looks inside. They touch. A little bit of contact there between Myers and Ward. They make contact again. Myers trying to get back to him, but Ward has the spot. Oh, Myers thought he was going to ship him off into turn 1, but locked up the left front and saved it. That's going to knock Myers out of a top 3 position for now. Ward trying to close up what is, at this moment, a nearly 2-second deficit. 10 laps to go. It'll be 9 to go when they get to the line. Petty now trying to apply the pressure to Hirschman. And there's your margin. Ward has not been able to close in yet. It was 1.7 seconds 2 laps ago. The gap stabilized there in 3rd. Petty holding a tighter line on the bottom of the racetrack to try to see if he can catch up with Hirschman. One lap car lies ahead of Hirschman for the time being. We'll see if it's going to be a factor. That is the 03 machine of Craig Young that Hirschman's going to have to negotiate his way past, while Ward has started to close in from 3rd spot. Hirschman clearing the lap traffic. Ward digging for all he can in 3rd. Look how sideways that car gets off the corner. Petty doing everything he can to try to close up for the race lead as they hit the line. 5 laps to go. Petty, maybe, has been preserving a little bit underneath him for this. A late race charge to try to go back-to-back here at Florence. And he's applying the pressure off turn 4. 4 to go. These two teams and drivers went toe-to-toe at the World Series of Asphalt after Jimmy Blewett brought home the championship trophy while Hirschman was able to garner up some race wins. Now they're going to battle it out here in Timmonsville, South Carolina as Hirschman goes wide. Hirschman nearly caught the wall that time as he came off the corner. Hirschman and Petty separated by just 1 car length as Brandon Ward is there. 2 laps to go. A lot of lap traffic in front of your leaders. Hirschman is going to come through 3 and 4 and search for the white flag. 3 cars under a blanket to settle it. 1 lap to go. And he's trying to set him up here. Ward is right there as well in 3rd. Here they come off of the 2nd corner. Through the final turn, 3 cars dancing for the checkered flag. Matt Hirschman wins the Low Country 99 at Florence. Over the last 2 years, every time that Matt Hirschman has showed up to a Smart Modified Tour event powered by Pace-O-Matic, he has himself here in Pace-O-Matic Victory Lane with his opportunity to take home his third Smarty Trophy presented by Bankers Life. And he is going to have himself a good time climbing out of this car after putting the races all together. Hirschman with hugs and hand pounds all around. Getting set to climb from the car with the Pace-O-Matic hat on. Not his first win of the season, but it's his first win for the Smart Modified season for sure. And your winner of the season opener for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic, Matt Hirschman. With a Smart checkered flag in hand, powered by Pace-O-Matic, Matt, you're going to be taking home your third Smarty Trophy in the last 2 seasons presented by Bankers Life. This race seemed right up your alley. Tire conservation, a tough field. Did you guys know that you had your strategy nailed down the minute you rolled off the truck, or did you just kind of have to fly by the seat of your pants there in those crazy last laps?
No, you never really know. Cautions can make or break a strategy anytime, so you just don't know on that. But for the first time here, we adjusted to it and went back. You go into your bag of tricks from things you learned maybe from Myrtle Beach and a few other places, and you try and figure it out and do the best you can. And those last 30 laps were some hard running right now. I mean, you could tell when you race it for all it's got or all the tires got in it. I could definitely feel it right now. The sun angle was really strong all race, so I feel like got a headache from the sun angle on the front stretch, and then just driving hard those last 30 laps there. Good thing we raced for a week in Florida, get in a little bit of shape for this. The good job by the team turning around from racing 2 weeks ago, and happy to be part of this group. We raced with them a few times last year, and all good things to say, and they're momentum every time, and they good. It looks like there'll be a good season to come for them. So we'll hopefully be with you a few more times and just try and keep this going.
You had a great 2021. Who would have thought 2022 could be going as well? Richie Evans Memorial, John Blue with the third Memorial, Wheel and Modified Tour Opener, now the Smart Tour Opener. What is it about surrounding yourself with, as you mentioned, the right people to give you the confidence you need to come to a track as tough as Florence and run as well as you have and win now 3 for 3 with Smart?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hard work, and just to keep this going, it's going to take more hard work, and we'll just try and do the best we can. And right now, like I said, just got to keep it going. You just got to work harder, and we've worked hard already, so I can feel it right now. I'm pretty tired out.
You may have to build another trophy shelf for all these Smarties you're taking home. Matt Hirschman, great job today. Hope to see you again soon, my friend.
Thank you.
And again, that is Matt Hirschman, our winner, taking home the Smarty Trophy presented by Bankers Life here in Pace-O-Matic Victory Lane. Third Smarty Trophy he's had under wraps so far in the last 2 seasons. And he's going home with some additional hardware, as is the PD Motorsports team. While Hirschman and company celebrate their win, we're going to come over here and catch up with Caleb Petty, who came up just 1 spot short, my friend, for being able to go back-to-back. You guys were charging there late in the going. I thought you had saved enough there towards the end. What was it more that you needed, perhaps, to be able to get up and around Hirschman there at the end?
Man, I needed them lap cars to get out of the way. I feel like we definitely would have had a shot if we had a clean track there, been able to pick my own line and do what I wanted. But nonetheless, it was a great race. Just sitting around having fun, and I can't complain. I'm at a racetrack, right?
Now, this team also has been off to a hot start. We talked about Hirschman and their success. This team won the World Series of Asphalt Championship with Jimmy Blue at the wheel. He was watching from home. Does that kind of higher, or I should say extend the expectations for you personally in this team?
Yeah, that just tells me to, get up and go win races. Second place sucks. I can't thank Tommy Baldwin Racing enough for this bad, fast car. Show up to the track and never have to worry about it. So huge thanks to those guys.
One more question. Do you plan on running the full season with us? Because I know that's a question everybody's been asking me when we saw your name on the entry blank.
Yeah, we're gonna run all of them. It's gonna be a good year. I'm very excited for it.
I'll put you down as a championship contender. Great job today, as always, my friend. Caleb Petty, runner-up here today for Tommy Baldwin Racing. And let's come down here with what is one of the hottest teams right now in the Modified Tour. Brandon Ward, who comes home in third. Hard to believe this is your worst finish in the last 4 Smart Modify races. With the run that you guys have been on, it seemed you guys waited really, really late to bolt on that fresh rubber, but you were cutting the trail to the front. Similar question to Caleb. What was it that you needed perhaps to just get 2 more spots there at the end?
Well, I mean, we did wait late to take a tire. We felt like it was going to come down to who had the best tires at the end, and I felt like that was the right strategy, but we were just too deep in the field. By the time we got back to third, we had kind of leveled off with them, and we were able to run them down, but then I had used it up to get back to where I was at. But, good job to Matt Hirschman and Caleb. They both had good cars tonight. This thing was really good all day. As always, Randy Renfro and this entire Coulter Motorsports team, they did a great job. We just, like I said, just the way the race played out, strategy, we just ran out of laps, ran out of time.
You guys seem to be playing the cards right. It was fun to watch you come up through the pack. What's that like for the driver? Is that a good time, or is it frustrating when you're weaving your way there through cars in position and the lap traffic you guys are fighting through?
I mean, I think it's nerve-wracking for all of us as drivers. The whole format, just trying to ride and save, and then trying to go when you can, waiting on that pit stop to go. It's kind of a chess game that you play, and when you come here to Florence, it's what it's about. It's about who's got the better tires at the end of the race. Normally, we had good tires, had a good race car. Randy Renfro does a great job with this thing. This entire group, I'm just happy to be a part of it. Can't thank kpmoto.com, Renfro Heating and Air, Velocita, everybody that helps us on this deal. Precision Built Spindle, the whole group. They just they put a lot of effort in.
Strong podium run. You guys are on a roll. Hope to be seeing more of you down here, and I'm sure the results are going to continue to come the way they have been. You guys have been stout.
We hope so. We hope to, be able to go to Kinley here in a couple weeks and pick up the first win for the year, or at least have another good solid run.
Great always to see you, my friend. Brandon Ward, third place finisher here today for the Renfro and Coulter Motorsports team.